in the vintage business, we all keep our cards a little bit close to our chest for fear of, and not mixing very much with other dealers for fear of giving away your contacts or customers or something like that. But now and then, you do find somebody in the vintage business that is absolutely no competition at all because they're in a different direction at a different market, and you can actually become quite good friends and acquaintances and talk openly about like how's business. And one of those people is my good friend Jojo.
Hi.
Now we first met before I actually opened in Sheffield. We met about 8 years ago.
Yeah, probably something like that. Yeah.
I had a big pile of Converse trainers from the 1988 Olympics or something.
Yeah, the 80s, yeah, something like
Not
that.
my kind of stuff at all. I'm just mainly bespoke tailoring, tweeds, morning coats, that sort of formal kit. Jojo is completely different. But what I like about Jojo, you see, the vintage business has changed, and a lot of people have started selling like kilo sales, and it's just all rubbish. Jojo, this shop is completely different. I'm looking around, and I'm drawn to just about every item is interesting me in here. I mean, now there's a raincoat here. I'm thinking, that's old and it looks military. Where's it from? Is it 1940s, 1950s? Everywhere you look, there's really interesting stuff here. And not the kind of stuff that I've ever sold. I'm just suits and jackets and German street shirts, that's all. This is a fantastic, interesting place for anybody. Jojo, how did you get into this business?
Basically got into it by accident. I was working as a chef in a kitchen, obviously. Not really enjoying it. And then I met some people that had a shop in the city centre, and they let me have like a small 6-foot rail, and I was paying like 50 quid a week rent, and then putting a few bits on there, buying a few bits, travelling around, finding stuff. And then after a while I was like thinking I'm making more on this rail than I am at work, and it was really like a grueling, horrible task. So then just slowly started transitioning to that, and then they basically moved and said they were getting a bigger shop. Do you want to have a space? So it was a shop like similar layout to this, and it had an upstairs area, so I rented a room upstairs, which weren't a lot of money, and then they let me have the other room as well, so like one room grew up to 2 rooms. It's quite good. I look back on it like quite a key night. It was a fun time, yeah.
Like a sort of cuckoo in a nest, getting rid of all it and acquiring it all for yourself. Yeah,
yeah.
That happened to me once in Westbourne Grove.
Yeah, so upset. It was obviously quite hard to getting people into a shop's hard enough, but then getting people to come in and then go upstairs was a bit of a task, but it was kind of quite good.
You've got quite a niche market here, and it's all good stuff. I've seen people trying to do like buying a bit of workwear and that sort of thing, and they're not necessarily that knowledgeable about it. All your stuff here, it's fascinating me. It's really interesting stuff. But you've got family in antiques.
Yeah, my mum's an antique dealer, so I've grown up sort of going to fairs and car boots and antique markets, so it's sort of had it ingrained into me.
That must have been a big help.
Yeah.
Because, you're already there. You already know the language of how to buy stuff.
Yeah. The unwritten rules.
The vintage was it's changed. I mean, COVID sort of interrupted the source of supply for us. For me, COVID, I mean, I'd love to have it back. COVID was fantastic for me.
Yeah, it was good times.
I kept my shop open most of the time under a certain little loophole that you could. As you know, all my customers were Chinese, and but did COVID upset you at all?
No, it was all right. We were selling a lot of stuff online, so we was coming into the shop and processing stuff, photographing stuff, finding stuff that we forgot we had, and I think we sold more stuff than ever. So but
the supply chain got interrupted, so there weren't markets to go and buy from.
No, but we were still buying stuff. I still had a few contacts that was travelling around, still buying a few bits and pieces, not as much, but I think it was kind of a beautiful thing to lock into them corners and crevices of stuff that you've already got, that you forgot you've got, and giving that a lease of life and selling it. So we were selling a lot of stuff online. It made me realise I don't want to sell online.
You get around a bit, don't you? I mean, sort of internationally, you go to sort of fairs in France and Belgium and Japan. 'Cause I remember it was that funny time when we first met, and you were telling me about this fantastic shop that you'd found in Harajuku, Tokyo. And you told me all about it, and I think that was the time that I said, well, actually, it's my shop.
Oh, yeah. I bought some bits out of there,
Yeah.
So I went in there, and there was a jacket in there, a really interesting old work jacket from like 1920s, American one. and he didn't want to sell it to me. You could see,
Ishii probably would have had a deal straight away because Ishii was just thinking about the money.
But I think you could see that I was like, sometimes in Japan it can work one or two ways. They're either happy to sell it to you, or I think they think, well, if a British guy wants to buy it, it's kind of like, I think I've messed up on the price. And to be fair, it was like really out of context for the shop because it was all suits and tailoring and tailcoats and cravat and tie. And then obviously this like jacket stuck out like a sore thumb. So that's the sort of stuff I look for as well. But yeah, and he didn't really want to sell it to me. And I think I ended up going back the next day and there's a different staff on, and I just took it to the counter quickly and paid for it and left.
Yeah, but in Japan, I love Japanese people. I spent so much time over there. And Ishii, that co-owner of that shop, has now sort of diversified into making new stuff, and so it's much bigger on tailoring now. Same thing happened to me at some point. I just couldn't get enough waistcoats and morning coats and tweezers. I thought, I'll start making them. And same thing has happened in Tokyo. In Tokyo, there's this really big market for guys got their first job. And they need a smart blue suit if they're like Tokyo salaryman, which was like a commuter. They need a smart blue suit, and Ishii's tapped in really well to that market and expanded out to doing really good tailoring in.
Oh, nice.
Have you ever thought about manufacturing?
We've thought about it, and we've made a few jackets, like casual outerwear pieces and stuff, and so we have thought about it, but it's like it's a whole of a beast in it. It's another full-time job.
Yeah, it is full-time. But I know people that, I mean, you do a little bit of military here, and a lot of people that concentrated on military stuff, suddenly they can't find enough sort of camouflage smocks or something, so they start making repro ones, and then they find that's maybe better business and with no interruptions in the supply chain. Don't have to scrounge and buy stuff from everywhere.
And I suppose like the main thing with vintage is like it's not really, even though it's a good business, you could do well in it, it's not really scalable on that level, whereas with new stuff you can sell.
The sky's your limit.
A limited amount, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I got started in manufacturing because I just couldn't get enough morning coats. So I started copying the best ones. So I do a taped edge morning coat, and I do a waistcoat with a continuous neckband. And what I like about your shop here is you don't do any of that. So we were never in competition.
We do have that sort of stuff sometimes, and it just gets lost.
And if I ever got anything that is up your trouser leg, I'd give you a shot. Hey, I've got this workwear. Is it interesting?
And like with suits as well, like you've got to be, when you're buying an old suit, you've got to be so right, hasn't it? So even if you find like a killer suit from the 30s, it might be great, but it might be the wrong size, or it might have been short and fat, or it's got to really be like that perfect size as well, isn't it? Which is really difficult.
And however good something may be, if it's not your market, you haven't got the sort of area and environment to sell it in. So you're set up beautifully here, and I'm walking around. It's a fascinating place. One Savile Row suit here would be meaningless. Whereas me, I just want more of them.
That's it. I do find them every now and again. Or I'll buy like the odd uniform or something like this. But not many, and unless it's really good, like sometimes you do find a really good one by accident. I think with suits, like if it's amazing and early, I've had a few that are like turn of the century. The condition doesn't really matter. People will buy them just to maybe reference.
I know,
and stuff.
like we both share a few common Japanese friends and buyers that come see me. They see you. But Sheffield is really unusual. I mean, Chinese students are numerous in every city. They're very noticeable in London, around central London, because there's about 10,000 of them. Sheffield is a much smaller city, and it has 7,500. Within walking distance of the cathedral, where my shop was, there's 40 Chinese restaurants. 40. 5 or 6 Chinese supermarkets within walking distance. And so I just found myself, quite apart from singing with a Chinese rock band, which I have to check myself every time I even say that. I found that the 5 years that I was in Sheffield, all my social life and all my business life, it was like I was operating in Shanghai or something. Do you do a lot of business with Chinese here?
Do quite a few. There's quite a few that come in, but not tons. But like, we do get quite a few Chinese students.
I mean, it might help if you were right in the centre within walking distance. That might help because Sheffield is so cheap. All the Chinese students can live just within walking distance of the university.
Because I know before, historically, Chinese didn't like second-hand clothes, did they? But I think there was something to do with bad luck or something.
I'll tell you something that's happening in China. About 20 years ago, suddenly, the Japanese got their breath and their character back when they stopped being under the control of sort of America and that sort of thing. The war was long forgotten. And Chinese girls started going out in the evening wearing kimono.
Yeah.
And guys would go out wearing kimono too, and they're just starting to strut a little bit. And it's just started happening in China. Now they're really celebrating all the cultures from the different regions of China.
Yeah, traditional dress.
Yeah, all in traditional dress. And when Chinese girls decided to be beautiful, they are really, really beautiful. And there's lots on my Chinese sort of media. I'm noticing all these pictures of Chinese girls, and Chinese girls at their graduation in Sheffield, wearing traditional Chinese dress for their graduation.
Yeah.
That's quite an interesting development. It's happened so incredibly quickly with China.
Yeah.
They're already probably ruling the world.
Yeah, because it's interesting, isn't it? How things change and come back in trend and stuff. Yeah.
So you're going to just carry on doing exactly the same? Got any big plans? What about somewhere outside of Sheffield? I mean, ever thought about London?
Yeah, well, we've done pop-ups in London before, and we've done pop-ups in Japan and places like that, and it's always been really successful. So yeah, I mean, but I just think I don't want to have more than one shop. I don't think it's tiring. You know, I know people that have had multiple shops, and it's like your turnover increases, but I don't think you make any more money. You just become very busy.
Right,
become a bit of a busy idiot, can't you? If you get it wrong.
Especially with this kind of kit, where almost everything here has got a story.
Yeah.
So you can't. You just got to be you
Yeah.
to tell that story and say what it is and where it's from. Yeah, there's got to be a story with this stuff, and you can't do that if you're a multiple retailer.
Yeah.
So better to have one good iconic shop, and this, of its type, this is the best shop in the country, really. So.
Oh, thank you.
Now, I find just everywhere I look, almost everything in here is immediately fascinating. I could spend a few days just looking at this stuff and wanting to know its origins. Pick out a few things that, if there was a fire, would be the first things you'd say, and a few things that you'd like to get more of, and some of your favourite things.
Yeah. Oh, so this is a classic item that we sell in store. We've always sold this stuff. So this is a 1960s mountain rescue smock in like survival orange. It's like a lovely sun-faded orange.
Is it actually military then, or just mountain rescue associations? Yeah.
Yeah. So this one is actually not a military issued one, but military did make them as well.
Yeah.
But I always love these sort of things. They're great, and they do them in different colours as well. It's more common in like the green canvas, but you do get different colours in Ventile.
But if it's mountain rescue, you want to be spotted. I suppose.
Yeah.
So it's got to be sort of high vis.
Yeah. So the mountain ones are usually bright. Yeah.
Of high vis.
So that's like a classic sort of shop staple that we've always sold since being open, like that and different variations of it.
I've never really noticed those. I might have seen them around, but it goes over like a smock. There's no zip.
Yeah, to keep the wind out and stuff. Yeah. And then obviously another classic is the Burberry trench coat.
I noticed that.
Yeah. Well, this is like a very old one. Yeah, probably 1940s, but also military issue, which is pretty cool. So this one was made for the RAF, and it has a tiny little label in it somewhere, and it just says, what does it say now? Approved by the Air Ministry for sale by the NAFI. So it's it's got quite good history, that one.
A bit of input from me here.
Yeah.
A very long time ago, Burberry approached me. There was a chap called Les who used to run their archive department. They were suddenly getting very, very successful in the 90s, and they realised that they hadn't got a lot of their old models' raincoats. They hadn't got the patterns in there, because glad to get rid of the last one, but they might want to resurrect some patterns. Also, they didn't have any army uniforms or RAF uniforms that they'd made.
Yeah.
And luckily, because at that time you still could find stuff, and a lot of my customers were military guys, I managed to find them, I think, an RAF uniform and an army uniform. I think Mossbros did most of the RAF stuff, and Burberry not so much, but all those manufacturing companies chipped in on army uniforms at that time. That's very, very interesting. You need to phone Burberry Archive Department on that, and I think they'd be really interested in that.
Yes, great piece.
That's very, very rare.
Yeah.
What else you got?
So another piece I'll show you is this is a World War II Denison smock, paratrooper. What the paratroopers would have worn.
I know these are really sought after, aren't they?
Yeah, super
I know
collectible.
people looking for these all the time. People come and ask me, because I've occasionally got a bit of military kit for these. I know they're really sought after.
Yeah, so this is the second pattern one. It's from 1944. The first pattern was hand painted, and then later they went into screen printing them. So this is all screen printed.
So this would have seen action then?
Yeah, this would have seen action. And then this one's actually missing it. A lot of time they got cut off, or they pulled them off after the jump. So they had a long strap that went down between the legs, and then attached on these press snaps here just to stop it blowing up as they jumped out of the planes.
Was it anybody's neck? Was it an officer's one or enlisted man?
It actually came off a customer that just came with it in his bag the other day, and he had it, and so it was his great granddad's, but he weren't really interested in any of the history or anything.
Sometimes it's interesting if you get particularly if it's an officer. Sometimes you can check a bit of history. I once bought some naval mess kit and naval uniform from a chap who was a VC.
Yeah.
And so we looked him up, and he got his VC for. He went into some, I think, French harbour, and they have to surface to keep the engines running or something, and he's for firing at the enemy. It said under enemy gaze and fire. So it was being fired at while he was sort of launching his torpedoes and sinking a couple of German submarines or whatever. And I even thought, well, yeah, if that was my family, I wouldn't even part with it ever. But
no.
Yeah, so you can track these things down somewhere from the name.
Yeah, some people aren't as affectionate about it, are they?
Is that sportswear there?
Yeah, so this is the sort of stuff that I collect for my own collection. I really like old British sportswear. You see a lot of American sportswear, but of course America's a much bigger place. You know, a lot of different states, a lot of different sports, but the British stuff is quite scarce, and I suppose it was all sort of disposable, a bit like workwear.
When you say your own collection, you mean it's shop stock, or you're going to keep it?
I'm going to keep it, yeah. So we do quite a few rentals and stuff to designers and things like that, so it's always nice to have a collection of certain stuff that, you know, that you think that you might not find again.
Yeah, we've all done that. You must have sold stuff that I shouldn't have sold that because somebody would have bought it for a lot more, or I could have copied that or whatever. You also regret selling some things.
Yes, this was a full collection of a British Olympian, and this was all 40s and 50s.
Right.
This one's probably from the 50s, and it's the full tracksuit.
When did we start having tracksuits? Because we didn't have any sort of synthetic material, so they would all be sort of cotton or wool in the old days.
I suppose by like the 20s and 30s they were coming in, but there was like So that's the Olympic one, sorry, and then the sweatshirt also from I think this was the one from the Commonwealth Games, which is made by Umbro, and just has England in big font across the front. But it's very rare to see the
100% cotton. And
100% cotton.
And how old is this then?
This one's from the 50s.
Right.
But yeah, it's very rare to see any British jersey. You know, like
I can remember. I mean, I was at school in the 50s. I can remember having a school tracksuit, similar to that in the early 60s. Yeah.
And all from the same person's collection. Here's a couple more. This one's actually made in Liverpool. That's a cotton one, quite small.
What year is this?
This is the 50s again,
right?
50s, and then
you can see the zip. Yeah, instantly. Yeah. That's a pretty old metal zip there. Yeah.
And then the best of the batch is this one, which is probably the most important. And this one's from the Olympic Games when it was hosted in London in 1948. It's got the original.
Almost the year that I was born. Yeah.
Yeah, and also made by Umbro, but pretty good condition as well.
Which zips have they got on there?
It's this one's actually got like a. I've seen it a few times before. It just says "Made in England." It's got like a sunburst on it. I'm not sure who made the zip.
I mean, zips in the vintage business. There are zip experts that can tell you, two zips that might look absolutely identical to me. Somebody say, "Oh no, that's 1953, and that one's late 1953."
Oh yeah, definitely gets geeky. Yeah,
but a really good thing for establishing the timeline,
the date on stuff. Yeah, and then sometimes you do find a lot of stuff. You do find a lot of stuff that looks older than it is, and it's probably made a lot later, but using an older zip, you know, because obviously they didn't waste anything back in the day.
Did I ever show you that massive cape that I've got? That is actually much older than I thought it was. I thought it might be 100 years old. It turned out to be 150 years old. It's a massive tweed cape.
Oh, nice.
Really, really full skirt, which I think might have been intended to like go over the back of the horse as well.
Yeah.
And maybe double as a sleeping bag. But yeah, sometimes no matter how much long you've been in this business, you get surprises, and you can be really surprised. Thing you think. Sometimes I'm looking at evening tails.
Yeah.
And they look fairly modern because they're in immaculate condition. It's a fairly modern cut. Then you notice it's got a drop shoulder. You think, oh, it must be pre-war then. And you thought it was 50 years old, and it's 100 years old.
Yeah, a lot of them are. Yeah, they are something that's always in good condition, aren't they? 'Cause I suppose they weren't worn much. They wore them for best
formal
occasions.
wear, unless you're like a doorman or Waitrose. I mean, your says you buy them once for a daughter's wedding, and then it's put in the wardrobe. Not
They always
worn again.
fascinate me them because I imagine they would have been expensive things to get made as well originally.
Generally, the people that would wear those to go to the opera have got enough money to
not worry about
to
it.
buy whatever
Yeah,
if needed. Yeah, not worry about it too much.
Yeah. But you do get. I've never bought them. I've had the odd one and stuff, but you do get. I have had calls before where people say, "I've got 300 of them," or "I've got." They turn up in numbers, don't they? Sometimes.
Yeah.
From rental places,
when
or
you suddenly get some theatrical wholesaler closes down.
Yeah.
And a lot of sometimes when that kind of thing happens, the goods just already gone by their friends, but you'll still find some gems.
Yeah, definitely. And then the makers just under here. You see under there. GT Law. What's the
Wimbledon?
The same maker what Roger Bannister's were when he won.
Right.
But he's went for a lot more.
Snakeskin on the side.
Yeah, it's cool, aren't they?
I mean, it's only like photo printed sketch, but I mean, to put snakes in. What should we put on the side? Let's put some snakes in.
Yeah, I think they were in Wimbledon. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one's quite nice to show you. This that's your jacket. Where are we going to show you? This is quite a nice one. It's like an old one from an old French work jacket, probably from around about the 40s, 50s, but it's been made out of like several jackets. You know, they've patched it up and replaced all the buttons. It's all been darned with wool, and this is like a bit of mattress ticking, I think.
Yeah.
It's like,
You know when you get barnstormers, and they've all got sort of different linings inside.
Yeah.
Because after the war, you could get hold of leather because they were still eating beef. There was leather around, but they couldn't get hold of material, so they used like old blankets and anything. So a lot of them have got blanket lines, and they have funny sort of. They use tablecloths or something in the sleeves. Yeah. But because they couldn't just go to the lining company anymore. Yeah.
Just use whatever they had around. Yeah. That was great repair down there.
Yeah, it's good that they actually keep repairing it.
Yeah, it's still a few miles, that one.
I've got some. I've got some R.M. Williams jeans that I've had.
I've seen you wearing them with the flat pockets.
Yeah, I've had them for 40 years.
This is a t-shirt that we got for a customer. It's only from the 80s, but it's from the fight, and it's actually his dad's, and he bought it. It's like a bootleg one that he bought on the street when he went to the fight in Vegas. It was pretty cool from '89.
A bootleg one would be more interesting to own than a real one.
Well, you can tell it's made by Champion, but it's on a Disney blank. So the guy that made them must have got a hold of old Champion Disney T-shirts, and then it's printed on that.
Well, I just love these spike shoes with snakeskin on the side, made in Wimbledon.
Yeah, they're great.
They're fantastic.
I've got another pair of spikes here that are pretty interesting as well. This pair is these are from the 50s, and they're made by Reebok, and it's one of the first ever shoes that Reebok ever made. So these would have been made in the Bolton, Dan, weren't they? Reebok, Bolton near Manchester, But they're Reebok Cheetah,
So how old will these be?
50s, I think. Pretty much one of the first pairs that they ever made before they went into training shoes
spikes,
and stuff.
You don't want them treading on your toes with those spikes.
No, it's pretty lethal, aren't they?
I've got some old cricket boots.
Yeah.
And they've got studs in, but I thought it'd be a nice boot to wear. They're my size, but
I know a guy in London actually always wears them.
I can't bring myself to take like you wouldn't take these spikes out, would you, and sort of wear them as slippers. They've got to stay there, but which sort of prevents you wearing them in the street, really. But,
you'll remember all this sort of stuff. This is like a proper 60s, 1960s, Carnaby Street sort of suede jacket. Belted, but great colours.
Yeah, it's sort of late 60s, early 70s. Really. Yeah. There were a friend of mine down in Devon, suddenly, with no experience at all, suddenly started making leather skirts and suede mini skirts. Yeah. Because the demand was so high that people would buy anything. The quality wasn't fantastic, and he started making stuff like this.
Yeah, wacky stuff.
Yeah, because you could, Yeah. In those days, there were lots of machinists around, especially if you're in. There are no skills at all left in this country now, which is why I closed my own factory to start manufacturing in China. But it was easy to start up making this stuff because you could find machinists. Yeah. And so people, they weren't selling massive quantities of this. They might even be working from their shed. But you've got interesting stuff like this with a nice little zip on it as well. It's what it is. That's a bit of fun there. I mean, they might have been cutting this out with just a pair of shears, you know. This wasn't sort of cut out by computer like it is now. You know.
Half pissed.
Yeah, this is real stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think they just bonded that on the inside, which is perfectly all right to do with leather. Yeah, great. But everywhere I look, I just keep wanting to say, what's this? What's this? What's this? The Louis Vuitton kit up there.
Yeah, that's a nice old
and
one.
You've got quite a lot of. My biggest selling thing in Sheffield is probably Burberry raincoats. You seem to have got a little secret stash of Burberrys here.
Yeah, I've got some nice ones on there. Yeah. Yeah, they're always popular, aren't they?
Yeah, no, this is my favourite kind of, I mean, look, this is my coat hanging up. This is my favourite kind of Burberry. The raglan sleeve, it's Burberrys, not Burberry. This is the real company, Burberrys. So this one, yeah, if you look, some of these are open. This is open here. And if you look underneath that, there's another little sign underneath. This copper green colour, Burberry and Aquascutum did different prices so they could hit different tourist pocket levels.
Yeah.
So they could sell one at, say, 500, one at 600, one at 700. They all cost exactly the same to make, but they had to make them different. So the most expensive ones were the tonic copper green, then the little black and the blue ones, and the cheap ones that everybody could afford to buy were the beige ones, which is why most of the Burberrys you see are the beige colour.
Yeah, I found an old catalogue as well from the 80s as well, and it was like the difference in fabrics as well. The price was insane. Like,
but think about it. If you're going to set up to make a raincoat, you make that one, or if you make it in beige, it costs you exactly the same to make it.
Yeah, true.
But you can charge a big difference. I once saw some cloth caps, flat caps, in a shop, some American brand, and they were like sort of $70 in lamb's wool. Then they got a cashmere one, and the difference was like sort of $30 difference or something. Well, in manufacturing, it's not even $1 difference in cost to make a cashmere one or a lamb's wool one, but it gives you that excuse to get a higher price.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is my favourite kind of raincoat. I've mentioned these before on my little channel. Yeah, and I just love it. It's got Burberrys, the real old English company.
There's a nice old Aquascutum one in there actually. You might like. Have
you got a Grenfell raincoat?
I don't know if I've got a Grenfell. I've got Grenfell jackets, but maybe not any Grenfell raincoats. But I've got this is a nice one. This is really early one, probably from the 30s or 40s. And it's a reversible Aquascutum with a super old label in it. But yeah, there's the label, look. Quite an old one. Yeah,
that blue label, I remember that really well. And some of them on the inside had a big orange and black label.
Yeah.
That would be like 1940s. Yeah, Aquascutum. This was absolutely my favourite shop in London. We used to wait for the Aquascutum sale in January. And all these shops have gone now. This is fantastic stuff.
Oh, that's a Grenfell one.
Ah,
that's like Grenfell one, isn't it?
Yeah. Grenfell, the cloth that was it, the cloth that conquered Everest.
Yeah.
Because the tents were made out of Grenfell cloth. Because at the time, before all the synthetics, was the most waterproof cloth. This is proper Grenfell made in England. Their quality was super. Have you got any Inverter stuff?
I don't know. Don't think so at the minute, but I do sometimes get it.
Yeah, I worked for that company for a short time. Their obsession with quality was like, unbelievable. Absolutely obsessed with quality.
Yeah, they've relaunched now. I think they're going again.
Yeah, well, that happens. Somebody buys a brand and then they flog it to death, and it's not the real thing, is it? Yeah. Absolutely fantastic stuff, and you've got such a lot of it.
They're all Belstaff Trailmaster jackets, and
people used to come into my shop every day. Have you got any Belstaff stuff? I normally send them up here. I didn't realise you had so much Belstaff stuff.
Yeah, there's quite a few there at the minute.
You could open a shop in Harajuku and trade for a year with just this stuff, because you know how much Japanese customers like their Belstaff. You know?
Yeah, that's a nice old one from the. That's an old one from the 50s.
Yeah, you see, all these companies like R.M. Williams and Belstaff, they become a fashion company, and then the quality's not the same. I mean, R.M. Williams Drover's trousers were absolutely indestructible. You can buy the same pattern now, but they're pretty flimsy.
Yeah.
In the same way that denim used to be workwear.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Gold prospectors used to expect to get 10 years out of their Levi trousers. Now you buy a pair of Levi's, you're lucky if they last you 6 months. You know?
Yeah, they're pretty plastic now, aren't they? Oh, this is really. This is really nice. This is silk souvenir jacket from 1950s.
All right.
All hand done with the Japan on the back, and fully reversible.
So, where was that made? And where was it?
Made in Japan, and
right.
often bought by by soldiers and stuff when they went away.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have their own made custom, and so that they were like very popular in the 1940s and 50s. But yeah, really super hard to find, and super hard to find in good condition.
R&R jackets when the Vietnam era.
Yeah.
I bought, I think it was a shirt or something at a car boot sale in Tokyo, and I was with Ishi at the time, and he said, David, do you know what it says on the sleeve? And there's some sort of Japanese writing on there. I thought it was going to probably say American idiot or something like that. I said, no, tell me. He said, it says David. So it had my name on it, obviously intended.
Yeah, we bought one the other day that says Stuart on it. Where's that one? We've got a real, in that bag, that suit bag, Dan. There's a Royal Marine Commandos one that someone's had made in Hong Kong, which is super cool.
Well, I'm off to China somewhere. I'm talking to somebody out there about buying some of the old Chairman Mao workwear.
Oh yeah, nice.
So you'll be the first to know if I do manage to get home.
Yeah, this one's pretty cool. So this was made for a bloke called Stuart, of all people, and this is one that he obviously had made up when he was on tour in Hong Kong back in the day. 42 Commando Royal Marines, and then it's all been done by a small tailor shop back then. But yeah, a lot of this stuff it doesn't survive.
Do you get a lot of Guernseys?
I try not to buy that many because they always seem to be damaged. They always seem to have holes in them. But I try.
Yeah.
I buy them when I see them. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're supposed to have holes in them. They're owned by fishermen. You know?
Yeah, true. Yeah. But I try. Well, I don't know. They seem to sell a lot of them to Japanese, and they're so fussy. They've got a tiny market there. They don't want them. But I did buy one for myself the other day that was covered in holes.
Japanese customers like their antiques, but they like their antiques to be new.
That's it.
Yeah, they buy sort of porcelain. It has to be in collectible condition.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
I bought one for myself the other day, and it's like a fine line having long hair as well. Cause you do look like you're asking someone for £1 for a cup of tea. Yeah, it's got about 400 holes in it. Back up here.
Been in here for just over an hour, and haven't even got started. In every corner you look in this shop, there's interesting stuff, but we're going to have to go because we've got other stuff to do. Jojo, it's fantastic to see you. I'll see you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Soon.
Nice to see you both.
About it, Jojo.
Yeah.
Vintage legend and ruthless businessman. And probably the only guy in Sheffield in the business. Probably Ryan.
Oh yeah, nice guy. Yeah.
That guy used to send people down to me all the time.
No, he did.
But I didn't know. He's a really nice chap.
No, he is. Yeah.